everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and having a super duper lovely day. So I'm so excited, you guys. I can't believe that today I'm filming episode 3 of my tarot friendship series. This is gonna be super duper exciting. I posted a poll, I think it was Friday or Saturday, asking you guys who you wanted me to do next, and over 50% of you guys chose Hoshi and Wonwoo from 17. So today I'm going to be filming a reading on their friendship. And don't worry guys, if you chose Sinbi and Moonbin, which came as a close second, I'll also be doing a reading on their friendship as well. So if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so you don't miss out on my future videos. Quick disclaimer as always, I'm not going to divulge too much into their personal lives out of respect for them and for whomever I do a reading about in the future, and I hope you guys can understand that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Hi guys. Wow, their friendship feels so light and so easy, and it's you can probably hear it in my voice right now. I have a big smile on my face. It's just good vibes. As you can see in both oracles that came forward for them first, these literally jumped out like that. There's literally 4 bunnies. There's so much rabbit energy, and rabbits are joyful. They hop from one place to another. They're excited. So I can see that their friendship feels really fresh, even though I'm sure they've known each other for a really long time. But most of all, with the acceptance card, I can see that they really understand each other. There's no judgments in their friendship. And I can see here, I've done a reading for Hoshi before. I haven't done a reading for Wonwoo, other than the 17 one. But I can sense Hoshi's energy, and Hoshi's very like jumping from one place to the next. He can get very excited about things, and what Wonwoo does is Wonwoo holds the space without any judgment. So they accept each other, they understand each other, and I am also sensing that even during those quiet nights, they can be together even though they're not saying anything. They feel comfortable around each other. They also share quite a lot of similarities, but at the same time, as you can see here, the rabbits are looking at each other, so there's actually a lot of things in common that they share with one another, point of views, interests, things like that. But at the same time, they also have a lot of differences, so they enrich each other in their friendship. So as you can see here, one bunny's at night, one bunny's in the morning, but they understand and they're dancing with each other. So that's how Hoshi and Wonwoo are. So now let's just grab a few tarot cards and see more about their friendship. Oops. So again, like I mentioned, with gaining new perspective, getting a fresh look at life, I feel like especially with the Hermit upside down and the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like sometimes one of them can keep to themselves a little bit. Yeah. I had a feeling it was going to be the 2 of Wands or the 3 of Wands. But anyway, I can sense that one of them, and I feel like it's Wonwoo. As I mentioned before, I have done Hoshi's reading before, so this energy feels more like Wonwoo, but sometimes it's Hoshi too. So Wonwoo can at times, or Hoshi can at times, retreat into their own little space, into their own little world. And what it does is that in their friendship, what's really good is that the other person will be able to pull them out of it, will be able to go like, hey, come on, let's do something fun, let's do something new. So they just have a really good balance of understanding one another, accepting one another the way they are, but they do know when it's time to pull the other person out of their little world, their little bubble, their little funk, things like that. It's just all about acceptance and love and understanding. So it's basically just the guys reiterating what we had seen before. But yeah, let's see a little bit more. Oh, that was quick. Wow, there's a lot of love there. Oh my goodness. So I can see that between the 2 of them, there's actually a lot of understanding. I'm actually sensing that they actually open up and share a lot with one another, very intimate kind of conversations, because I do see, especially with the Knight of Cups here, there's been a lot of moments where they really are very vulnerable with one another. They share very kind of like intimate details, very deep feelings that they don't necessarily share with one another. But with the Nine of Cups especially, I can see that, like, obviously they can trust one another, right? They can feel like they can be vulnerable with one another because they accept each other. But especially with the Nine of Cups, I see that there's real satisfaction in the quality of their friendship. So I feel like, especially with acceptance right here and the Nine of Cups, they don't feel like they need to work so much on their relationship. It's not something where they feel like, oh, I need to make sure I talk to Hoshi today. I need to make sure I talk to Wonwoo today so that our relationship can keep growing. You know what I mean? They don't really need to put a lot of work on it. It just happens very naturally. They're both very content. And it's a relationship that keeps blossoming with year. With the Nine of Pentacles here, it's just growing and growing on its own. It's a very natural kind of friendship. And I don't know, it makes me really, really happy. I mean, from the first time the two oracle cards jumped out, I felt like, oh yeah, there's a lot of love shared between these two. And it's just very natural. It just feels happy and joyful. Yeah. So also, because I told you guys, right, they are quite different. One of them is like jumping around all over the place, as you can see, and then the other one is just accepting, like, okay, you do you, boo. You do your thing. But yeah, there's just a lot of love there. It's a very organic relationship. It's a very organic friendship. You don't really need to do much. It just happens. It's just very natural, especially with the moon and the artist right here. I feel like with one of them, especially with Wonwoo, he is someone who likes to kind of like be in his own space. There's like a lot of moon energy, water sign, dreamy, just a lot in his head, maybe doesn't really open up as much. Not that he's secretive or anything like that. He just feels quite content being in his own frame of mind, like being in his own space. Whereas the other one, whereas Hoshi is more like the artist, is always planning the next step ahead. He likes to conceptualize things. He's on his head, but he also likes to communicate, you know? So they are different, but they can live together simultaneously. Now with the Five of Cups here, I do sense that sometimes one of them, when they're going, oops, sorry, there's a card that jumped out. Yeah. So I do sense that sometimes one of them, when they are sad, they do like to keep to themselves, especially with the Five of Cups and the Knight of Swords. Actually, sorry, I'm just getting the sense that it's actually both of them. When they are going through a difficult time, they don't necessarily like to straight ahead open up to one another or open up to other people, like in general. So if Hoshi or Wonwoo are really, really sad, they'll actually keep it to themselves, both of them. But they are fiercely, fiercely protective of one another. They are fiercely protective of one another. So let's see what else is going to come forward before we see what they mean to each other. Yeah. So one of them is actually going through, oh, so one of them is actually currently going through a really difficult time. I did sense it when the Five of Cups came forward. So I do sense that Wonwoo, but I don't want to go too much into it. I will say that Wonwoo is currently going through a difficult time. He's currently going through a breakup. And it's someone that he really, really cared about, and he was with this person for a very long time. I can see that. I won't touch too much into it, but I think that's why the Knight of Swords and the Five of Cups came forward so quickly. I think currently with Wonwoo going through a difficult time, Hoshi has really, really been there for him. And with the Knight of Swords, I feel like he's kind of, I mean, he is very fiercely protective of Wonwoo, but at the same time, I also feel like he's a great spokesperson. Like, as in, I don't know, because I noticed in my reading with Hoshi before, sorry if I jump from one thing to the next, guys, this is just the way I do my readings. But when I did a reading on Hoshi, I think it was the Page of Swords that came forward, and I did see that in the reading that he does sometimes like to gossip a little bit. Nothing bad, he just likes to talk, but I do see that if someone hurt Wonwoo, or if someone hurt one of his friends, he would he wouldn't shy away from going up to that person and saying, why did you do that? That wasn't the right thing to do. You know, like, you really hurt my friend, things like that. So I am sensing that currently there is that energy right now. I just feel like there's a lot of communication going right now, and where he's like, hey, you know, like, don't contact my friend anymore, or, you know, just leave him alone, things like that. I just sense that there's quite a lot of that energy going forward right now. So anyway, let's now focus on what is Hoshi to Wonwoo. How does Wonwoo view Hoshi? Sorry. Yeah. So, sorry, sometimes my words get jumbled when I am picking up on a few things. What is Hoshi to Wonwoo? So Wonwoo thinks very, very highly of Hoshi. So Wonwoo thinks that Hoshi is someone who is so very powerful, so very, very powerful and charismatic, and he actually values and thinks so very highly of Hoshi. He also thinks that Hoshi is someone that's like a chameleon that can change with every kind of project that he does. He's good at everything he does. He's very adaptable, and that's actually something that Wonwoo wishes he could be more of. He thinks that even when Hoshi is not confident at doing something, he's good at pretending, like, you know, fake it till he makes it, and then he does make it, you know. So he does have a lot of respect for Hoshi. He does think that Hoshi moves with a lot of grace, and Hoshi is someone who doesn't take things for granted. He's someone who has a lot of gratitude for all the little things, and he works very, very hard. So there's a lot of things about Hoshi that really inspires Wonwoo, I see here. He thinks very, very highly of Hoshi. So let's see what else. Oh, anything else about how Wonwoo sees Hoshi? This Six of Swords follows Hoshi everywhere. So like I mentioned, he thinks that Hoshi is definitely a winner when it comes to things, when it comes to a lot of things. And this also came forward for Hoshi when I did the 17 reading, as well as Hoshi's personal reading. Like, Wonwoo just thinks very highly of him. He just thinks that Hoshi is going to be very successful at everything he does because he deserves it. He works very hard. He thinks Hoshi is like a champion. He's just a very good person, and is what I'm trying to say. We do have the Page of Swords again in reverse and the Page of Cups. So he does feel like Hoshi has a really difficult time concentrating or staying focused on a few things. Like, he does feel like sometimes Hoshi changes his personality like that when he gets distracted. With the Page of Cups and the Page of Swords, I do feel like sometimes Hoshi, like, because Hoshi's always conceptualizing. He's the artist, right? He's always thinking of new things. He's always just like, there's just a million things going on in his mind at once. And I feel like when he's like in that working mode, if something happened to him emotionally, like someone hurt his feelings, someone broke his heart, or he felt really happy or excited about another thing, he wouldn't be able to think clearly and things like that. So Wonwoo does feel like sometimes Hoshi needs a little bit more of a balance in terms of that. Also, I feel like Wonwoo thinks that Hoshi sometimes really spreads himself too thin. There are too many things that he's working on. He does sometimes need a break. He can be very, very impatient when it comes to things. I did see this in Hoshi's reading too. Hoshi sometimes just wants things to happen like that. He just wants things, he just needs to be a little bit more patient, and that's another thing that Wonwoo sees as well. But other than that, he thinks very, very highly of Hoshi. Let me just grab a card from this oracle. How does Wonwoo see Hoshi? Oops, was there a card that jumped out? Yeah, he just wishes he could be so much more like Hoshi, because Hoshi really goes after his dreams. He makes his dreams come true. If he has a goal, he just goes for it. Whereas I feel like with Wonwoo and his energy, and like I mentioned to you guys, this is my first time reading Wonwoo, so like I'll delve deeper when I do, you know, a standalone Wonwoo reading. But I can already sense that with Wonwoo and his energy, he's a lot more like he's going to mull things over. He doesn't like jumping into things too quickly. He just kind of like lets it simmer first, see what happens. He's just very, you know, he likes to calculate things, whereas Hoshi's kind of like, let's just go for it. Let's just jump. Let's do this. Let's that. And he does think that that's a really good quality that he wishes he could have too. It's just that they're different people, you know. But yes, now let's see how Hoshi sees Wonwoo. How does Hoshi see Wonwoo? How does Hoshi see Wonwoo? Oops. This is so funny. It's so funny how different they are from one another. Okay, so he does feel like Wonwoo is a little bit of a mystery to him sometimes. Like he just feels like Wonwoo is someone who's very, very deep. He's like the ocean, like you've only touched the surface. So even when Wonwoo really opens up to Hoshi, there's still so much. Like I feel like there's a lot that Wonwoo keeps to himself, and it kind of irritates Hoshi, to be honest, because sometimes Hoshi wishes that Wonwoo would let himself shine more, would be a little bit of a peacock, because he thinks that Wonwoo is like so talented, so handsome, so good at what he does, and he thinks there is so much more that Wonwoo could show to his fans, and he just wishes that Wonwoo would believe in himself the way that Hoshi believes in him. He also has a great deal of admiration for Wonwoo because, again, I'm not gonna go too deep into it. I'll do it when I do a Wonwoo reading, but Hoshi does feel like Wonwoo has been through a lot in life, and he's someone who is very kind and very caring, and he's grown through a lot. I feel like sometimes Wonwoo does question himself. Sometimes he's just very hard on himself, but Hoshi thinks that it's because Wonwoo has been through quite a lot. I can see that. Yeah. I don't know why the guides are going so much into Wonwoo and his past, but yeah, there's like a few things that have happened to Wonwoo, which, you know, I'm not really gonna touch into, but yeah, so he does feel like Wonwoo has been through a lot, and he loves Wonwoo very much, and he wishes that Wonwoo could trust himself a lot more. Yeah, and he sees Wonwoo as like someone who is very, very smart, like a teacher almost. Like I feel like Hoshi goes to Wonwoo a lot and learns so many different things. He can really rely on Wonwoo. Wonwoo is someone who's very stable. He is not like Hoshi, kind of jumps from one thing to the next. His energy is just very like, it's just like a rabbit, you know, it like leaps from one place to the next, like whereas Wonwoo is just a very stable, calming force, as a very safe place. Hoshi knows he can always rely on Wonwoo. Wonwoo also has very traditional values, you guys. I see that he puts a lot of importance in monogamy. Like he would never ever think about wanting to cheat on someone, because he believes that if he's with one person, he's with that one person. He believes in, you know, getting married, having children, raising them correctly. He believes in education. I feel like he would really love to pursue higher education, actually, if he wasn't a singer. He would maybe be a scholar or something like that. But yeah, let's grab a few more cards. How does Hoshi see Wonwoo? See, I told you. Oh my goodness. So like yeah, so he really does wish that sometimes, you know, like Wonwoo would believe in himself more, would let all his amazing, beautiful qualities out more. He just wants Wonwoo to be a little bit of a peacock, you know, like, hey, you know, show off your strength, show off your looks, like, come on, you know. But I think that's what's good about this friendship, is because they do kind of influence one another to be better. They push each other out of their comfort zone. Well, especially with Wonwoo, you know, to Hoshi, with Hoshi to Wonwoo, and yeah, it's just he wishes that Wonwoo would believe in himself a little bit more and just, you know, be a little bit of a peacock. But But yeah, and then he also thinks, you know, I mentioned, but Wonwoo can sometimes, you know, be in his little bubble, and he does move slow and things like that. And yeah, Hoshi does think that Wonwoo is like that. He proceeds slowly, but he's someone who's very, very deep. Still waters run deep. So like he has so much power in his quietude. He's someone who's very, very smart. He's someone who's very, very wise, and someone who's very, very charismatic. And he does really believe that, you know, Wonwoo is capable of achieving so much in life. And well, he wants to see Wonwoo achieve those things. But let's see in 2021 what is going to happen to their friendship in 2021. Hoshi and Wonwoo. I'm just looking at their photo and it just makes me smile. Okay, what's 2021 going to bring to their friendship? Oh my goodness. Okay, so 2021 has been a year full of a lot of ups and downs. Focus on the downs. Okay, we have the 10 of Swords. So I feel like as a group, 2021 hasn't been great. Doesn't necessarily mean with one another. It just means that they've both been hit by a lot of things. The good thing is that in 2021, their friendship is going to get stronger. We have the High Priestess, so they are going to get closer than ever. And with the Well, especially, and the High Priestess, their friendship is going to go into depths they haven't gone on before. So I feel like they're going to have a lot more deeper conversations, more meaningful conversations. They're going to discover a lot of new things about one another, especially with the Well. There's actually going to be a lot of creativity and a lot of inspiration that's born out of 2021. So although there's a lot of like trials and tribulations in 2021, I do feel like their relationship, their friendship is going to reach new heights. Oops, sorry guys. Let me just grab one more card. Hoshi and Wonwoo, 2021. Yeah. So in 2021, a lot of new things are going to be born. They're going to put a lot of intention. They're going to try and manifest things together. I feel like the really beautiful thing I see about this friendship is, one, they don't put any pressure on the friendship. This is something that is very organic. It feels very safe. And they understand one another. They understand one another. They can be at peace. Even in quiet moments, they're just there supporting one another. But another thing I see is that they keep growing together. They're very good at influencing one another because they are quite different. Although, like I mentioned in the beginning, although they're different, they have a lot of similarities. In that sense, it's good because they can communicate in a way that one another understands, at the same time also push the other person to get out of their comfort zone. So I do see that, especially with the Well and in the intention here, they're going to help each other manifest their dreams and wishes for 2021. So let's just grab one final card about Hoshi and Wonwoo's friendship in 2021. Yeah, I told you guys this year their friendships like reach new heights they've never reached before. It's really going to exceed expectations, and I feel like the thing about 2021 is they really want to help each other out. Wonwoo is so proud of Hoshi, and Hoshi is so proud of Wonwoo, and it's not a friendship where they have to kind of like say it to one another all the time. They know it without saying much. So I think that's really good. I feel like they're finding a lot of new common grounds this year, especially with the High Priestess and the Well. I feel like they're both coming out of their shell in terms of their friendship. They're venturing to new territories. They're trying different things together, and they're just both trying to manifest and reach their goals, and they're both pushing each other, which is really, really great, because Hoshi does really want Wonwoo to be able to, you know, shine more, let himself shine, believe in himself, things like that. So that's one of the things that I see Hoshi is really trying to get Wonwoo to do, because Wonwoo does think very highly of Hoshi. Like I mentioned, he does wish that he could sometimes be a little bit more like Hoshi. Hoshi is a chameleon. He is very adaptable. He can change his you know, like charisma, his moves, etc. Just like the chameleon, depending on what's needed, he can fit that bill. And Wonwoo wishes he could be more like that. So Hoshi is trying to get Wonwoo out of his shell a little bit more and to believe in magic, believe in himself, because he feels like there's so much untapped potential that Wonwoo hasn't even shown to his fans or even explored for himself. So you know, like I mentioned before, Hoshi just wants Wonwoo to like just jump around, hop around, explore the world a little bit more. But I do see that this friendship is one that is really lovely. It's really nice. It's got good vibes. I'm really happy. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reading. I'm gonna stop right here. There's so many messages that came forward already, so many cards. But yeah, I hope you guys stay safe and take care of yourselves. And yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.